Hello there, good timers. December 30th, 2020. I hope you stick around to the very end of this podcast. Pat and I have some sincere thank yous to dish out to everybody this year. Other than that, we're talking about the health benefits of coffee and also caffeine. Some great stuff, some really practical information in this episode. These good times keep rolling around here. We're doing our best. Pat and I will be jumping in the ocean together on Friday, New Year's. If you have any awesome New Year's traditions, feel free to share them, because I'm always looking for a new way to ring in the new year. All right, my friends, enjoy this episode from Good Times Coffee Company. That would be Pat and Ted. Check us out on Instagram, Good Times Coffee Company. Go to the website, gtcoffeeco.com, to get a full view of all of our products and such. And really, thank you for a wonderful, fantastic, stupendous, awesome, fun-filled, dream-packed year. We appreciate all of you. Take care. See you soon. See you next year. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, all good timers alike, it's Ted and Pat.
Hello, welcome back once again.
Once again, we have an episode that is near and dear to our hearts as well as our minds and bodies. The health benefits of the magic bean of coffee.
As well as caffeine.
As well as caffeine. And,
which they correlate. So
they do correlate, and they also, I would say there's a wide array of debate in the whole topic of health as it pertains to caffeine. Caffeine alone, I mean, depends who you ask.
Yep.
And, you know, good
that
luck.
Is, I have a lot of information about that too, because things that I actually learned about it too, while kind of brushing up on some research. We'll get into the health benefits. I'll spit out some facts like usual.
Don't worry, everyone. We've done the research for you, because it's
these are all also because these are health related things. You know, there's reputable sources. I got these from Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, things like that. So I can also start out by saying that obviously there's a lot of health benefits with coffee, and through the years you've probably heard the negative effects of coffee as well. It's back and forth. Things that I actually found out about those negative results. They found that scientists actually went back on those results because what they didn't put into account was that it was kind of, they realized it was just too hard to look at one aspect of diet and connect it to a specific health condition. And they actually found that a lot of these coffee drinkers they used in their studies were heavy tobacco users because and actually had very inactive lifestyles. Which kind of highlights the positive results to this, which we'll get into.
These are what we call independent variables, people.
Yes. I mean, if you think about it, most coffee drinkers tend to be smokers as well. It's
I've been there. It's fine. I don't judge it either. I'm glad to not smoke anymore, for sure.
Right.
But certainly everything's a drug in life. It's just a matter of what you're going to choose and how much you're going to choose of it.
That's true. Caffeine is a drug. We'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
So they say the ideal amount of coffee to drink per person is anywhere from 3 to 5 cups a day. Which is more than I thought, but that's what they've, and it was pretty consistent throughout everyone's studies. Obviously you can drink less than 3 cups, but they say ideally.
Why would you?
Exactly. Obviously we've all been there where we've had more probably.
One time, Pat and I did a calculation on how many cups of coffee are technically in a bag of ours. I think it's 63. And
yes, it is.
Yeah, it is. But then we're like, there's no way we drink 1 cup of coffee a day. Me and Pat, at least, anyways.
No, and that's 6 ounce servings, right? That we calculated that out, which is technically that's the amount of a cup of coffee usually.
7 grams of the powder. Yeah, of course.
So they were saying they're the ones that obviously the ones that should kind of watch their coffee intake are people with high cholesterol, caffeine sensitive. If you're pregnant or if you're a minor, the body just doesn't kind of process coffee that well.
Well, you know what, man? I've never been pregnant, but I have been a minor.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I've been drinking coffee since like 4. I just want to put that
right.
out
I mean,
there.
I was drinking coffee in my early teens.
Yeah. Now, I was not consuming a pot a day.
Right.
I want to talk about our own fluctuations of coffee use. I'm gonna use that term use because it is a drug in a sense, and anything of anything, too much of anything could of course be a bad thing. I get it, but I was drinking at least like 10 cups of coffee a day at one point. And I'm not recommending anyone go down that, but I tried for like a few months. I'm like, I just wonder what the effects of this will be.
Yeah, it's there's good and bad. So it's everything in moderation. Once again, if you stay, it's with anything in this world, anything in moderation. So if you stay within that 3 to 5 cup range, that's the solid amount you can get, and will have these benefits, which they have found multiple studies. They've been studying this for decades. Coffee, it's the most consumed beverage in the world. So there's a lot of studies involved in this. They found that it reduces the risk of things like heart attack, stroke, Parkinson's disease, type 2 diabetes, dementia, Alzheimer's, liver disease, colon and liver cancer, amongst some other things, and then depression. It's a mood booster.
You're damn right. I feel good right now.
Exactly.
Look at my mug, dude. Wait. Speaking of depression, and for those who joining on audio, I got a big old smiley face as a mug. This reminds me of my brother for some reason.
Right.
But anyways, and you mentioned cholesterol. I do want to back up to that point, actually. I read a lot about this too. So I am a person with genetically disposed into whatever. I have high cholesterol due to my genetics. I mean, I floated up to like 300 at some point, which for my age and body type is, it's not recommended, but I had no choice in the matter. It's beyond how I eat to some degree, and it has gone down and whatnot. But for coffee purposes, interestingly enough, and much to my dismay, they say unfiltered coffee. You're saying
that was actually something. I don't have that as a thing, but that is something I came across. Is that what was it? If it is for high blood pressure, right? That was what it
cholesterol.
That's okay. Cholesterol, and they say that filtered coffee is the way to drink it for high cholesterol. So things you would obviously drip coffee maker, but you would want to steer clear of French press or espresso.
Yeah. You know what though? That's what they recommend, and I'm only going to say, again, I drink it every day. My cholesterol levels have gone down, so I've actually had myself as an example of measure. I do drink it every day. I'm not below 200, which let's just say 200 is like the max they say is a healthy amount. And I don't even know what the HDL and the L that goes somewhere else for that information.
Right.
But I can tell, I probably should know some of this stuff considering I have to pay attention to it. But no, I have this. I basically take this medicine, but it's not a medicine. It's not a prescription of anything. It's kind of a mix of. It's more vitamins than it is medicine. And that's worked for me. It was recommended by some holistic doctor and whatnot. But I only put all that out there because I don't think it actually should stop you if you enjoy a French press. Like I don't know. I'm not letting.
Once again, they say moderation. And
moderation. There you go.
I mean, the thing that they say with all this too is not everyone's going to be the same. So we're not saying if you have high cholesterol, steer clear of that. But that doesn't mean that French press is going to affect your cholesterol. It all depends. Every person's body, processes these chemicals essentially differently. So
even caffeine, which you had stated, is very much differently handled by all of us. When I was doing probably 10 to 12 cups of coffee a day, I did that for a reason, by the way. Someone I know was basically a pot a day drinker, and his whole point is my uncle. He said, you want to be awake during the day so that you could sleep at night. Basically, I was trying to fix, I wouldn't call it insomnia, but I was up for hours at a time at night. Occasionally it still happens. I've just never been a great sleeper though. So who knows where it stems from or whatever. But I was trying to fix that issue in my own life. And so I thought, okay, I'll try this method. I'll try and be really awake through the day. And I was drinking a lot of coffee. And did it help? Not really so much, but I will tell you, it kind of deadened my sensibility to caffeine to a certain extent. And I feel like I still have some of that still in me, actually. Like caffeine just doesn't do me the amount that it would that most people. I think there are a lot of people out there, tell me if you're one of them, that drink coffee for the purpose of caffeine.
I would say most people do.
Yeah.
And it, like I just said, is everyone metabolizes caffeine differently. So there's people like, I mean, you or I will have a cup of coffee at times where it's been 9 or 10 p.m. and we've slept just fine. Whereas someone like,
of course.
Whereas someone like my mother, she can't have a cup of coffee past noon or else it'll affect her sleep. So it all depends on the person. Usually as you get older, your body isn't able to metabolize caffeine as quickly.
Tell Betty it's all in her head. It's all
Noon?
Are you kidding? Noon. It's about 2 p.m. right now, of course. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking so I actually just got a brand new espresso maker the other day. So I am drinking a Black Dog espresso.
Oh, dude. Lucky. That's the one. That's probably one of my best espresso.
I think it's a very good espresso coffee that we have.
Yeah, I'm drinking Unfiltered Black Dog because I like it unfiltered and I don't care, damn it. I don't care one bit. I'm a recluse. I'm reckless.
Yeah.
Yo, I guess I just want to mark this date and time too. This is probably our last podcast of the year. Probably it is. It's the 30th.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Tomorrow we'll be busy.
Yep.
We'll be eating cookies. Smaller group than usual. I mean, usually our, of course, New Year's party extends to like 50 people. I have no idea how many people are there each year. It's just different every year.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That is going to be missed this year, but I'm excited, dude, that you're going to be joining me in the ocean New Year's Day.
Yeah, we are doing a polar bear plunge on Friday.
We've done it together at a different plunge, and this one, of course, is kind of unofficial this year because they canceled it. Go figure, it's another par for the course of the year. Everything's canceled, but I'm still jumping in the ocean because you can't stop me. And I've been doing it for like 15 years at this point. And so now my very best friend gets to join me. Wow. Look at this. Ooh, I feel good already. It's going to keep me warm in the ocean to know that you're with me. Do you know why? This is beyond random and it doesn't belong in this podcast, but it is a point of interest to me. Why is December the winter solstice, the point at which the sun is the furthest away from the earth? Why is that not the coldest time of year? Why is it in January? Do you know?
Why it's not the coldest point of the year?
January is the coldest point of the year, but the sun is furthest away in December. Right. You know why this is?
No idea.
It's all about the ocean temperature. Huh. So the ocean temperature stays cooler for longer, and it's kind of this after effect in the coming weeks after the solstice that the cooled oceans are now affecting all of the air temperature around the globe. And vice versa, as we get closer to summer, the heat from the south will come up and do its thing and kind of combat that. I don't know why. I got to have my own weather podcast. Of course, it'd only be one episode long because I don't really know much at all. But I just find such great interest in it. And of course, honestly, the weather is directly related to what we do, only in that we need specific weather to have coffee on Earth.
Sure.
None of it being, as we know, grown in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. But, that's my fun fact of interest for the day for you. Besides all of our coffee factoids.
Factoids, yeah.
Factoids.
So I'll get back into it, and I'll tell you the reason why coffee is good.
Yeah, bring me back.
We've covered a lot of it already.
I was lying. Maybe caffeine still does affect me. I do notice that lately. It's been coming back, actually, full force. Caffeine does affect me a bit. I'd be lying if I said it didn't anymore. So
coffee is, as you and I know, filled with antioxidants, which I didn't know.
Just like the ICA fruit or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
What's the fruit? Acai?
Acai. I think how it's correctly pronounced.
I like it the best. I like that pronunciation the best.
But actually, funny you should say that because coffee is the largest source of antioxidants in the U.S. diet, and that actually overtakes fruit and vegetable consumption. Yeah, It's mostly because the majority, I think they said like 80% of adults, US adults, drink coffee, and the amount that they drink just overpowers the amount of fruits and vegetables that most people intake. So their main source of antioxidants is from coffee.
So I don't need vegetables.
Right, exactly. Just drink
No,
coffee.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
But it also has magnesium and potassium in it, which helps with that. We were talking with that blood, the insulin levels of blood sugar, which goes back to the diabetic thing.
Yeah.
The biggest antioxidant is called chlorogenic acid, which has been shown to reduce inflammation and play a key role, they say, with obesity. So with weight loss.
Now,
I'm not saying that this is a fat burner by any means, but it assists with metabolic rates and stuff like that.
Might wake your ass up for the gym, you know?
It will. I mean, well, actually, I mean, that kind of leads us into caffeine, which is the next topic. And one of the other health benefits from coffee is from caffeine, and that it increases your adrenaline level. That's why people, I mean, I've seen people at the gym drinking coffee.
I know, I see that
workout, which to me is wild, but to each their own. But I mean, it's shown to really boost your energy.
So. These are the same men who hang out in the locker room for a half hour at a time.
Yes.
Like walking around naked, drinking their Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I've seen it too many times, actually.
Right.
Both the naked men and the Dunkin' Donuts inside of the locker room. The beauty of the gym. That's one thing I do miss this year, of course. And there was one thing though, I want to back it up to what we were just talking about before caffeine. Oh, the insulin levels.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to me. We're going to do this another day. I want to really go into, this has more about the habits of culture than it does necessarily what I'm about to go into. But, I used to eat breakfast every single day of my life, and I would wake up starving. Like, not actually starving, I certainly was eating plenty of food in a day, but I would wake up hungry as all hell, need to eat or else I'm going to feel sick. And I have not now had breakfast except for occasional like omelets that I treat myself with occasionally. And then, that's about it in a month, once or twice. But I mean, now I don't eat breakfast at all. I haven't for years. And I can only attribute that. And even still to the day, sometimes I wake up and I'm hungry. I'm like, I want to eat today. But then all I do is make coffee. And it is if you're into, if you know out there, and Pat, we know intermittent fasting is a thing.
Right.
We try and just as a matter, that's how I control how much I eat, because every meal I eat it's not measured in small or medium. It's just always large. So in order to control how much I eat in a given day, which is because if I were left to my own devices here, I would just eat it all. And I have eaten. I have tried to get to the 1 meal a day thing just for fun, try that out. But I would end up eating 3 meals inside that 1 meal, and it was like not healthy at all. Right. So I'm just saying that for me, coffee was a big help in getting over that like morning bump of feeling I need something or else, and it really allowed me to kind of focus and for my own benefit to not have breakfast. Not that I'm saying you should or shouldn't, but for me in my life, the coffee was such a suppressant in a healthy way. It is an appetite suppressant, right?
Sure. I mean, I agree. That's why, I mean, like you said, I have done intermittent fasting for now, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Although the way my body is I'm a person who gets hungrier throughout the day. So I usually don't have an appetite. So intermittent fasting was actually a breeze for me, whereas most people wouldn't be. But I do have, while staying in that intermittent fasting, I do have a cup of black coffee every morning. And that really gets me like energized. I mean, it would probably be a lot harder for me to do intermittent fasting if I wasn't drinking coffee every morning.
Is because also it's easier for the body to process these chemicals and what's going on inside the body as opposed to stuff. It's the same reason why, I don't know if you know this or if you follow it. I don't even follow this all the time, but to not drink water during your meal is like a big thing. You know, it's a matter of letting the body do one thing at a time. So is it going to digest food or is it going to process water? Like these are, I know we don't need to stick to these as like absolute rules in a day, but I think the stomach, the digestive system as a whole is just happier when it has more time with one thing. And coffee, it is a lot to process. As you mentioned, it does have attributes to it that need to go down just as they are. Magnesium, for instance, is something easier digested, I believe, on an emptier stomach. I believe that might be the case. Isn't that also a part of what going to the bathroom is all about with
Yeah,
coffee?
yeah, it helps. Which also caffeine does is a
Yeah,
diuretic. Which actually I've even heard, and when I was looking through all this, the big question with caffeine in general, but coffee is it dehydrates you, and that's not necessarily true.
right.
Yes, it flushes out the system as a diuretic, but they say that your body, I mean, well, one, you're replenishing the amount of water that gets flushed out by coffee gets replenished by the water that's actually in your coffee, but also your body gets used to, if you drink coffee every day, and they even said the certain times of day, if you are consistent with it, it's the same time of day that you're consuming coffee. Generally, your body gets used to that, and the whole dehydration thing with coffee, your body won't be dehydrated off of coffee.
Yeah, if you're worried about it, drink some water before you
Right. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like I do get dry mouth after
Yeah.
drinking coffee, black coffee. And I mean, I just drink water. It's as simple
Just
as
drink
that.
water.
It really is.
Don't make
It
it a
says
thing.
it's
Just drink water.
it's really just comes down to anything in life. If you're thirsty, just drink some water.
Drink more water, man. This one, I was on a random sales job many years ago. I was inside of a man's house. He just got done, not a heart attack, but something serious with his heart. And he said he had to limit coffee now to 4 cups in the morning. And he told me specifically, his doctor said, well, do you drink water in the morning? He says, no, I just drink coffee. He drinks a full pot of coffee in the morning. And all the doctor said was, all right, well, for every cup of coffee you have a cup of water too. And
Right.
he's like, and so that was something that always stuck with me. It
Yeah.
just seemed like a little bit of common sense. If you're
Right. I
feeling
mean, well, I
like
think
you're
you should
overdoing
drink. You should be drinking water in the morning when you get up, anyways.
that's true.
But
Do you
yeah,
chug water when you get up? Because I do.
I try to. Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
do it as I try to. I just like wake up so thirsty.
Yeah, I usually do. Yeah. So with caffeine, I mean, a lot of this is pretty obvious, but it helps your mental alertness.
There's also such thing as fog too with it. Too. I mean,
Oh my God, yeah. Well, like I
this
said,
is overdoing it.
yes. I mean, everything. Caffeine's a drug. It's a stimulant, so you can easily overdo it. People are allergic to caffeine.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, it stimulates the central nervous system. It boosts production of neurotransmitters and like serotonin and dopamine. So that's the part that elevates your mood.
Yeah. It's
But,
also the part that makes you suffer if you miss coffee.
Exactly, which will bring us into now decaf. So we're going to get into this with why we don't do decaf. But the positives to decaf, if you are, like I said earlier, if you suffer from if you're caffeine sensitive, or if you suffer from if you're easily get anxiety, because caffeine can also affect your anxiety levels. Or if you simply just suffer from insomnia, they say you should probably not drink coffee. Decaf would be your alternative here. And the positive to decaf is it's got the same amount of antioxidants and all those nutrients we talked about earlier, minus the caffeine. Now, this will then get into why we personally don't sell decaf coffee, because decaf coffee, actually, the process of decaffeinating coffee is really not good. In fact, the process
for you,
for your body, because the way they process how they extract the caffeine out of coffee usually is to soak them in a solvent, which is usually from they mix, they say methylene chloride or ethyl acetate, which they're chemicals. And in fact, methylene chloride, they say, is found in paint strippers and degreasers. That's how it easily extracts caffeine. So that's kind of the reason why we don't do decaf. It kind of stems away from our whole natural coffee
Natural, organically
thing.
grown, leave it as it is.
Right. I
Don't
mean,
mess
it's
with
just
nature. It's
now
coffee.
there is a way to naturally extract caffeine.
Yeah.
It's called the Swiss water process. And ironically enough, it's actually not, there's only one place in the world that does this process, and it's actually in British Columbia, Canada. And I actually looked up their website. It's a place that does, I mean, they do caffeine, decaffeinated coffee. They produce it for a lot of people. It's a giant company, but it's expensive, but it is certified organic. It's kosher. It's 100% chemical free. And I'll explain the process because it actually is kind of interesting how they do it.
Yeah.
And
Are there diagrams online?
There is a diagram, and I'm looking at a diagram right now.
Yeah, check it out, anybody. Like
It
Google.
is. You can easily just type in the Swiss water process, and there's a ton of things that come up, and there's diagrams for it. Basically, what it is when they started it, they did it with the first batch, and they soak the green coffee, unroasted coffee beans in hot water. And what it does is it extracts the hot water extracts the caffeine, but it also extracts the flavors, the aromas, all the nutrients we talked about. It all gets it gets soaked out of the bean and sits in, and basically the beans were there's nothing left in them. So what they did is they discarded those unsoaked or those extracted beans, but that water that was left behind has all the caffeine, the nutrients, the aromas, the flavors in that water. So what they do is they take that water and put it through a charcoal filter. And caffeine, the caffeine molecules are actually the bigger molecules. So the only thing that gets filtered out is the caffeine. Whereas what's left is the water with the flavors, the aromas, the nutrients, all that. So they then use that water and they soak the next batch of green beans in that hot, flavor charged water. And so basically there's that new batch of green beans is soaking like that first batch, but instead of extracting everything out, it only extracts the caffeine because that the water's already filled with the flavor and aromas, so it balances out the extraction of the flavors and aromas. So you're only getting the caffeine extracted out, and that's basically what it is.
Now, will it taste the same? If you asked me, I'd say no. It would be a small difference. There is. Right. Because you're taking out the flavor and trying to put it back, but sure. It does work to a fair degree.
It's for people, it's for people who don't can't handle caffeine as well. But the positive to that, so the normal decaffeination process, they say, removes about 96 to 97% of the caffeine, but this natural Swiss water process actually, they say, takes out 99.9% of the caffeine. And it takes roughly 8 hours for that entire process, whereas that regular chemically ridden one only takes like an hour or so.
It reminds me of chemistry class.
It really is.
The old
always boggles my mind.
Binding onto the charcoal trick. That's what it is.
It's crazy to think that someone could think of this process. But
Pat, do you know there's a bootleg way to help decaffeinate your coffee in the morning?
How's that?
Well, I can't speak for it because I've never done it because I have no need to do it. I don't want decaf coffee, but you can pour hot water. That hot water is the same as it were with the green beans, if you will, except, here's just your ground coffee. It's been roasted. So you pour a bit of water, you kind of flush out the bean with hot water. And then, you know what? I wonder if you could do it even with whole beans first, kind of soak your whole beans in hot water. But this, of course, does get rid of all the health benefits and properties of the coffee. But I am just saying, you can decaffeinate your coffee and then grind it. And it is not a 99.9% removal rate, but it is a way, if at nighttime you decide you want coffee but less caffeine, you can filter your beans, and or you can, when it's already ground, pour hot water through it, let it come through, and then pour some of that already ground made coffee out. I would recommend.
That's an interesting way of doing it. In fact, For those who are also,
I've never done it. I'm not saying anyone should. I have no idea what it tastes like. I imagine you need more coffee than usual.
Well, the other, I mean, the other offering of coffee that a lot of people do, and I've actually seen a lot of roasters offer this. It's called a half and half, and it's a blend of half decaffeinated, half caffeinated. So you're getting the coffee, but you're only getting half the amount of caffeine, which to some people makes a big difference.
Yeah, sure. It's a party trick,
Yeah. So if you want our coffee and don't want the caffeine, just mix it with decaf coffee.
Well, I bet
it's different, but
I bet probably the easier answer than all of this on how to decaffeinate your coffee is really our friend Alicia asked one time, because I was explaining how I make basically just a half cup of coffee for my wife Alexis in the morning, and now she's up to a full 6-ounce cup, but took a while, and it's because she enjoyed it and she wanted it, but she would get jitters for a full 6-ounce cup. So now she's at a 6-ounce cup, and Alicia asked, "Really, only a half cup of coffee, like actual like half of 6 ounces?" And I said, "Yeah." And so if you want, less caffeine, let's say it's nighttime, the harder thing to do, but maybe also the easiest if you consider it in another light, is just to have less coffee. Have 4 to 6 ounces of coffee.
Simple as that.
Yeah. Now, is that easy in practice? Not for me. Mm-hmm. It is easy though, I'll tell you, when like you're over and let's say we got a few friends in. Let's say there's 4 to 5 friends on a French press. Well, right away, you're getting probably 6 ounces of coffee each if I'm pouring, if I'm doing it correctly and going to the 24-ounce line and all that. Yeah, so I mean that's an easier way to do it with friends, and I actually really enjoy doing that when there's company over. It's like, yeah, what's something to please everybody in an easy fashion, a little bit of coffee. Mm-hmm. So just having a little bit less, experimenting with that in your routines or with your body and whatnot. And certainly just know if caffeine affects you, sorry, try again another life, man. I don't know. I don't know. People do ask us if we are going to get decaf, and as you explained, it's kind of,
yeah. I mean, it's something we could look into. I mean, I know our supplier, just by looking at his list, they do offer a decaf with this natural Swiss water processed one. Like I said, it is pricier though, because it's like I said, it's so it's a particular place that does it. So it's just harder to get.
It is, and it's harder for us because we base a lot on like consumer first. So put it to you this: right. If I myself am a consumer, what is my maximum I want to pay for a great, like, I know where the coffee, I know how it's sourced, I know it's organically grown, I know all that. Well, I'm willing to pay what we charge, and so that in my head, that's where I find fair value. Where does it end? What if it costs like $10 more per bag for a decaf? Well, you know what? Truthfully though, if someone only can drink decaf and they find the value in that, and they don't drink as much coffee as you or I do, we're doing 2 bags a month at least.
Right.
At the rate we drink coffee. So yeah, maybe, we can look into it. You know how long it took us to do a podcast, people? It takes Pat and me a while. It's on a vision board somewhere in my mind, because I tried a vision board for a bit. You know what these are? People do these vision boards. You know what I'm talking about?
No, not
it's
at all.
Exactly what it is. It's a big old, let's say it's a cork board in your wall or something, and you post your ideas, and man, that sounds good in practice, but I'm so disorganized. I'm like, I just want to do this today. So I'm just like, screw the vision. Good times is my daily vision. So that's good enough for now in my life. I'm busy as is with our jobs and our coffee and everything else, but we can put it on the good times vision board, and it'll get there. We'll chug along to that at some point.
We try to stick also with coffees that we can get year round. Not all coffees we can get year round, because they just simply don't produce them year round. Some of them are from smaller farms that just don't have the capacity to do so. So
Yeah, with our base products when we first started, when we only had 2 coffees, 3 coffees, 4 coffees. Yeah, we don't want to be dealing with anything that you can't guarantee you'll be able to get if that's what you're used to.
Right. I mean, yeah, especially if that's, someone's favorite coffee. I mean, we could obviously offer a coffee that's only a seasonal, but if people really like that coffee, they can't get it, and
Maybe that's in the works too, but we're not sure.
There's things on the line. We're open to a lot of things. If there's a specific coffee someone really wants, we could look into getting it. So we never close the door on anything.
No, that's what makes us good times, man.
Right.
Good times are had by trying new things. We do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, if you ever want to go check out me and Pat tasting a coffee for the first time, it's on YouTube. It's the Dancing Toucan. We didn't know it was the Dancing
first time we ever tried it. Before we even knew what we were going to even call it. It was
because a lot of what we call it is based on not just the region, but really how the feel of the coffee is, the taste, how we feel. These are things I do believe you can really tune into. That's why I say I noted I have a video about me talking about Big Papa, because honestly, Big Papa for me gives me a certain. I'm not going to suggest it's a boost, because it's not an energy thing. It's more like it's not directly like this caffeine thing. It's more like it's just knowing your coffee that's for you kind of thing. And you know what it is, because so many of you know what it is. We see you ordering mostly the same coffee. We know you love one. It's like, yes, absolutely. It's great to have a reliable favorite in life that you know how it's going to be for you. You know how it's going to treat you. That's such a blessing. That's what I love. One of the things I love about bringing this great coffee from these great places in the world out to the people. It's like, yes, we finally have a coffee for you. Yes.
Right.
I felt like an outlier for so many years because I was trying all these different coffees. For a while, I was just back when I didn't have stable money and for at least 2 years of my working career life at one point, a few years back, and I was just buying the cheapest coffee I could find.
Chock full of nuts.
Oh yeah. I've had.
I remember you used to get that one.
I've been there. Yeah, that was probably the most reliable one I had. But even that, like, I tried a few years back when you and I were in business, and I think it was at my dad's, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe. I don't want to name names. Like, I'm not trying to tear down other companies and everything like that. It's just that I could not find for the life of me, like, I was just drinking coffee because I was just drinking coffee. I wasn't doing it because I loved it by any measure. It was just kind of like this thing that you just did and you need it, But then, true love came to be. I guess true love takes time. Not for me and my wife, but that's another story. Okay. Thanks a lot, Pat. You are a man.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you for joining us for our last episode of the year. You know what? Let's wrap this up as season 1. Next year, we'll just call it season 2. How about that?
I like that.
Yeah. Really, thank you everyone for such a great year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Especially, I mean, it's the growth that we had this year. Yeah, this is probably the most we've grown out of the few years we've been.
We measure that in really new friends. Like, we are meeting so many great people, and makes my heart happy. I do want to give one solid update on what's going on with our donations that we're going to make tomorrow. Even this morning, we had a few orders come in. Yep. So every single order made this month is a collective donation from all of us. We don't feel like we're the ones doing it. We feel like everybody who has purchased coffee this month has made that such a value add for the world at large. And
I haven't seen the totals yet, but I mean, from the amount of orders we had just in the month of December, I can tell you that it's going to be a significant amount. So it really is great.
Yeah, right. Like, man, I've kind of been holding back on doing the counting until the last day because I want to kind of surprise myself.
I started to look at it a week ago, and it was a lot. So I kind of figured I'd wait till.
I'm not above divulging. I mean, other than like the recipes, I will never divulge. I won't tell you that, but I'm saying I'll divulge to you, and maybe you gather from what Pat and I are saying. This is been our best year in business, and toward the end of the year especially. I don't know if people have been ordering specifically because of the donations that we're taking part in. you know, and even if you are, you know, you get the benefit of having the coffee yourself too.
And that is something we would like to continue doing in the future.
Yeah.
The donations.
Oh yeah. I mean, this was a blessing that we can do this. And, man, such a good thing. So thank you for being part of Good Times every step of the way. And from our hearts out to yours, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Enjoy 2021. I've heard many people say that they probably will over this year. So, you know,
pretty easy to do.
Yeah. Don't even set the bar too high. Just like set it midway and you'll feel good about it in no time. So, hey, we're all in this world together. One love with you all. Good times.